There are nights when your body is exhausted, but your mind refuses to lie down with it. You stare at the ceiling in the dark, replaying words you wish you never said, scenes you wish ended differently, messages you still haven't answered. Your chest is tight, your jaw clenched, and somewhere inside you're thinking, why can't I just turn this off for one night? Then morning comes. Before your feet even touch the floor, your heart is already racing. Your hand reaches for your phone like it's a lifeline. Notifications, headlines, arguments, someone else's perfect life on a screen. You start scrolling, not because you're interested, but because silence feels louder than the noise. Your brain never really woke up, because it never really slept. Later, you sit at your desk, in class or at work, staring at a screen you can't focus on. Your body is present, but your mind is time traveling. Back to old mistakes, forward to worst-case scenarios. Part of you is here. Part of you is living in a movie that only plays inside your head. And no matter how much you do, you still feel behind, scattered, drained. What if your real problem isn't how busy your life is, but how unprotected your mind is? What if peace isn't when your problems finally disappear, but when your perspective finally changes? The Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Modern neuroscience quietly agrees. Your brain literally rewires itself around whatever you repeat, whatever you focus on, whatever story you keep telling yourself about who you are and how life works. Attention is not just something you give, it's something that's constantly shaping you. So today, we're going to slow down and do what almost no one teaches you to do: take your mind back. We'll walk through 5 Stoic principles to clear your mind from toxic thoughts and rebuild real focus. Guard your attention like a fortress. Separate yourself from your thoughts. Bring the unspoken into the light. Rewrite the script of your inner critic and release yesterday so you can choose stillness today. This isn't about becoming perfect or positive all the time. It's about becoming deliberate inside. If you're ready to stop being dragged by every thought and start living with intention, consider subscribing to Stoic Current. And as we begin, say this quietly to yourself: I'm allowed to change how I respond to my own mind. Number 1. Guard your attention like a fortress. Before we talk about thoughts, we need to talk about where those thoughts live. Your attention. The quiet beam of awareness that lands on one thing at a time and tells your brain, this matters. That beam is not neutral. It is the architect of your inner world. Whatever it keeps returning to, your life starts to build around. Think about how your day usually begins. For many people, the morning doesn't start with breath or sunlight or intention. It starts with a screen. The alarm goes off, and before your mind has even had a chance to stretch, you're already scrolling. Headlines, arguments, opinions, new crises, old drama. You take all of it in before you've even said good morning to yourself. By the time you stand up, your mind is already full, but not full of you, full of noise. Then the day continues like that. Notifications pulling you in every direction, messages lighting up your phone, emails piling up. You sit down to work or study, but your attention feels like a candle in a storm, flickering, scattered, easily blown out. You tell yourself you're busy, but if you look closely, a lot of that busy is just your attention being dragged from one thing to another without your consent. And when night comes, you wonder why you feel so overwhelmed, so unfocused, so tired, yet restless. It's not always because your life is too big to handle. Often it's because your attention has been left unprotected all day long. You've been living with the doors of your mind wide open. The Stoics understood this long before smartphones existed. Epictetus taught that it isn't events themselves that disturb us, but the impressions we allow in and the judgments we attach to them. Marcus Aurelius warned himself to protect your mind from unnecessary impressions. They knew that if you don't guard what reaches your inner world, the outside world will own you. Modern neuroscience confirms this in a different language. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself based on repetition. The more you focus on something, the stronger the neural pathway becomes. Focus becomes habit. Habit becomes identity. Identity becomes the filter through which you see everything else. If you repeatedly feed your attention with chaos, comparison, and crisis, your brain will become an expert at finding more of it. Not because life is only chaos, but because that's what you've trained it to recognize. It's like teaching a guard dog to only bark at shadows and then wondering why you never feel safe. Your mind is not a public park, it's a fortress. If every random voice, every piece of bad news, every stranger's opinion, every notification has a key, of course you feel invaded. Of course you feel like you can't hear yourself think. Stillness isn't possible in a fortress where every door and window is left open. Guarding your attention begins with a simple but radical idea. Not everything deserves access to you. That means you stop treating your focus as something the world is allowed to use for free. You start asking, does this deserve a place in my mind? Does this deserve my energy? Not in a selfish way, but in a wise way. Because attention is a limited currency. Once you spend it, you don't get it back. So how do you start? First, you become honest about where your attention actually went today, not where you wish it went, where it went. Tonight, before you sleep, give yourself a 5-minute attention audit. Take a piece of paper and draw a simple line down the middle. At the top of one side, write, "What hurt me today?" At the top of the other, write, "What helped me today?" Under "What hurt me?" write down anything that drained you. Doom scrolling, unnecessary arguments, hours of comparison on social media, replaying a conversation that is already over. Under "What helped me?" write even the smallest things, a meaningful message, a focused hour of work, 10 quiet minutes with your thoughts, a walk outside. Then ask yourself 2 questions. What do I want to give less attention to tomorrow? What do I want to give more attention to tomorrow? Write 1 sentence for each. That's it. You are not trying to fix your whole life in one night. You are simply beginning to aim the architect. Second, become the gatekeeper of your mornings. The first 10-15 minutes of your day are not a trash can for the entire world's emotions. Treat them as sacred. When you wake up, resist the urge to grab your phone immediately. Sit up. Put your feet on the ground. Take a few slow breaths. Notice how your body feels. Notice what your mind tries to run to. And then ask yourself one simple question. What deserves my attention today? Maybe it's a project that actually matters. Maybe it's one hard conversation you've been avoiding. Maybe it's your own healing. Whatever it is, name it. Let that intention be the first impression your mind receives, not the last thing it hears after everyone else has spoken. Will the world still try to storm your fortress? Absolutely. There will always be more news, more opinions, more noise than you can ever process. But the difference is this. You are no longer standing at the gate asleep. You are awake. You are choosing. Over time, these small acts of guarding your attention add up. Your mind starts to feel less cluttered. Your focus slowly returns. You find yourself less reactive to every headline, every comment, every bit of drama that once hooked you instantly, because you've decided that not every knock deserves to be answered. This is how you stop living as a victim of your feeds and start living as the architect of your focus. If this resonates, write this down somewhere you can see it. My attention is my power. I choose where it goes. Number 2. Separate yourself from your thoughts. Once you start guarding your attention, something interesting happens. You begin to notice how many of your thoughts are not neutral observations, but running commentary, judgment, prediction, old fear wearing a new outfit. It shows up at work as, "They don't respect me." It whispers in class, "I'm always behind." It leans over your shoulder when you try something new and murmurs, "I'll fail anyway, so why bother?" Those thoughts don't appear because they're accurate. They appear because they're familiar. Your attention has been feeding them for years. And when you feed a thought long enough, it stops feeling like a visitor and starts feeling like a roommate. It starts to sound like you. This is where most people get trapped. They don't just have thoughts, they become those thoughts. "I had a thought that I might fail," quietly turns into, "I am a failure." "I had a thought that people don't like me," turns into, "I am unlovable." The mind draws a straight line between a passing cloud and your entire identity. But your mind is not meant to be a prison, it's a sky. Thoughts are clouds passing across it, some light and harmless, some heavy and dark. They change shape, they appear and disappear. The sky doesn't chase them or cling to them, it simply lets them move. You are not the cloud, you are the sky that notices it. Or think of it another way, your mind is like a movie theater. Thoughts are the films playing on the screen, scenes of the past, imagined futures, stories where you always say the wrong thing or get left behind. Some of those films feel so real that your body reacts, your heart races, your jaw tightens, your stomach drops. But no matter how real it feels, you are still the one sitting in the seat. You are not trapped inside the movie, you are the one watching it. The Stoics understood this difference. They taught that we are constantly bombarded by impressions, automatic thoughts, images, impulses that show up without our permission. That's not the problem. The problem begins when we attach judgment to those impressions and call them truth. As Epictetus implied, you may not choose the first thought, but you always choose the second. You choose whether to sign your name under it. Carl Jung put it another way, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." You are not what flashed through your mind in a moment of fear. You are not the entire story your pain tried to write. You are what you choose to do next with that story. So, why do we cling so tightly to certain thoughts? Why does "I'll fail anyway" feel like a fact instead of a sentence we could question? First, because those thoughts use your own voice. They don't show up sounding like a stranger. They sound like the most intimate narrator, the one inside your head. Second, because they've repeated for so long that they moved into the background. They went from being sentences to becoming assumptions, from assumptions to identity. You stopped hearing them as opinions and started carrying them as truth. And once a thought becomes identity, it creates a loop. A thought arises, "I'm always behind." That thought triggers a feeling. Anxiety, shame, heaviness. That feeling influences your behavior. You procrastinate, you avoid starting, you hide. That behavior then produces results that seem to confirm the original thought: deadlines missed, opportunities passed. Now the thought feels even more true, so it shows up faster next time. Breaking this loop doesn't begin with forcing yourself to think positive. It begins with stepping back far enough to say, "Wait, this is a thought, not a fact." One powerful practice is simply labeling your thoughts as they appear. You don't argue with them, you don't try to push them away. You greet them, name them, and let them move on. When your mind says, "You'll embarrass yourself," you quietly label it, "This is a fear thought." When it says, "Nothing ever works out for me," you say, "This is an old story." When a painful memory rises and tries to drag you back into the past, you remind yourself, "This is not evidence. This is just a memory." Labeling doesn't sound dramatic, but it does something subtle and powerful. It puts the thought on the table instead of letting it sit on your chest. It creates a little distance between you and what your mind is saying right now. In that distance, choice lives. So the next time your mind plays the "I'm not enough" script, give yourself a micro pause. 10 seconds. Notice the sentence your mind is offering. Feel the first wave of emotion rise in your body. Then take 3 slow breaths. With each breath, ask yourself, is this thought a fact or just a familiar voice? Most of the time, you'll realize it's the latter. It's a voice you've known so long that you stopped questioning its authority, but authority is exactly what you can take back. This doesn't mean your mind will suddenly become peaceful or that painful thoughts will never visit again. They will. The difference is that you're no longer chained to them. You can watch them come and go the way you'd watch clouds pass or credits roll at the end of a movie you've already seen too many times. You no longer confuse appearing in my mind with describing my reality. Little by little, this changes how you live. Instead of reacting to every fear thought as if it were a prophecy, you start treating it as information. Instead of obeying every self-critical story, you start asking, who would I be if I didn't believe this right now? Instead of saying, I am anxious, you say, anxiety is here, and I am noticing it. That shift in language is not just semantics, it's sovereignty. This is how you move from being dragged by your mind to walking beside it. So hold this truth close as you move forward. I am not my thoughts. I am the one who chooses what to believe. Number 3. Bring the unspoken into the light. Sometimes your reactions don't match the moment in front of you. Someone makes a small comment and it feels like a slap. A minor inconvenience happens and suddenly you are furious or in tears or completely shut down. On paper, nothing big happened today, but inside you feel wrung out, as if you've been carrying something heavy all day without putting it down once. That something is often not what happened today. It's what you haven't said for years. Your mind is like a storage room in a house. Every time something hurts and you tell yourself, it's not a big deal, you toss it into that room. Every time you swallow a feeling because you don't want to be dramatic, you toss it into that room. Then you slam the door and pretend it's empty. But the room isn't empty, it's crowded. And over time, it starts to smell. Or imagine a deep underground tank of water. You keep pushing things down into it, unprocessed grief, unnamed fear, years of anger you never allowed yourself to feel. The more you push down, the more pressure builds. Eventually, it doesn't stay quiet. It leaks into small cracks in your life. The way you snap at someone you love, the way you can't sleep, the way your chest tightens every time someone raises their voice. Aristotle once said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. Knowing yourself isn't just knowing your strengths or your goals. It's being willing to look at what you've buried, to name the things you were taught to hide, to admit, yes, that hurt me, even if everyone else told you to get over it. Modern psychology and neuroscience add another layer to this. Your nervous system remembers what your mind tries to ignore. Emotions don't disappear because you decide not to think about them. They move into your body, into your shoulders, your jaw, your stomach, your breath. This is sometimes called somatic memory. Your body keeps the score of the moments you never fully processed. That's why you can feel your throat close when someone raises their voice, even if you know you're safe now. That's why your heart races when you see a certain name pop up on your screen, even if you've moved on in your head. Your body is telling a story you haven't written down yet. Why do we avoid telling the truth to ourselves? Because we're afraid that if we admit how much something hurt, it will break us. Because we've been taught that being strong means being unaffected, unbothered, untouched. Because going back to an old wound feels like asking to be cut open again. But the silence doesn't protect you, it just delays the healing. The longer you leave pain unspoken, the more it quietly shapes you. It shapes your expectations, it shapes your reactions, it shapes what you believe you deserve. Silence becomes a kind of prison where you carry everything alone and still tell yourself, It's fine. I'm fine. You don't escape that prison by forcing yourself to think positive. You escape by bringing light into the room you've kept closed. You don't need a perfect ritual. You don't have to write a novel about your feelings. Start small. One simple practice is what I call 3-line journaling. At the end of your day, open a notebook and write 3 sentences. Today I felt, I think it's really about, I wish I could tell someone. That's it. Maybe you write, today I felt irritated all day. I wish I could tell someone that I'm scared I'll be stuck here forever. Those 3 lines turn a vague heaviness into something you can see. Once it's on paper, it's no longer this formless fog. It has edges. It has language. And anything you can name, you can work with. Some nights the lines will be messy. Some nights you won't know what to write. That's okay. The point isn't to be eloquent. The point is to stop pretending there's nothing there. Alongside the journal, bring your body into the conversation. Take 2 minutes, just 2, and scan from your shoulders down to your chest and your stomach. Notice where you feel tight, heavy, or numb. Maybe your shoulders feel like concrete. Maybe your chest feels caged. Maybe your stomach is knotted. Then gently ask yourself, what am I holding here that I haven't named yet? Don't force an answer. Just ask and breathe. Sometimes an image will come. Sometimes a memory. Sometimes just a word. Fear, loneliness, shame. Whatever appears, acknowledge it. You don't have to fix it in that moment. Simply admitting something is here is already a crack in the wall. The Stoics were not afraid of discomfort. They didn't see pain as something to bury, but as something to examine. They believed that what we refuse to look at ends up owning us. When you turn toward your unspoken pain with calm attention, you're doing exactly what they practiced, confronting reality instead of running from it. This doesn't mean you need to tell your story to the whole world. You may not be ready to share with anyone else yet. That's okay. But at the very least, stop hiding it from yourself. Whisper the truth to your journal. Admit it in the privacy of your own mind. Meet it in your own body with a hand on your heart and a deep breath. Over time, something shifts. The things you buried stop feeling like mysterious enemies and start feeling like wounded parts of you that need care, not judgment. You stop exploding over small things because you're no longer asking your nervous system to hold everything in silence. You give your inner life somewhere to go. This is how you stop letting silent pain control you and start letting it teach you. And as you do, hold this affirmation close. I am safe to be honest with myself. Number 4. Rewrite the script of your inner critic. There's a voice that follows you almost everywhere, not outside but inside. It doesn't shout, it whispers, but it whispers at all the wrong moments. You're falling behind. You should have done more. This is not good enough. It shows up when you look at someone else's life online and quietly tells you that you're late. It appears when you finish a task and instead of saying, well done, it says, that's all. It visits at night, replaying the day, not to highlight what you survived, but to underline where you think you fell short. This voice often wears the mask of motivation. It pretends it's pushing you to be better, to work harder, to never settle. But if you listen closely, under all that pressure there is one emotion driving it. Fear. The fear of not being enough. Your inner critic is like a toxic MC in your head, holding a microphone at all times, doing a live commentary on your every move. That was awkward. You looked stupid. You should have known better. You try something courageous and it pipes in. Anyone could have done that. You rest for a moment and it chimes. Lazy. Or it's like an old school coach who only knew one method. Shame. No matter how much effort you give, it screams from the sidelines. Faster, stronger, not good enough. It believes that if it ever lets you feel proud, you'll stop trying. So, it never lets up. But here's the truth. that coach is wrong. And it was never your coach to begin with. Your inner critic learned its lines from somewhere. From years of comparison in school, where grades were treated as proof of worth. From passing comments that cut deeper than anyone realized. From social media, where other people's highlights became your standard. From growing up around people who thought criticism was the same as care. If, as a child, you were often criticized or shamed, a part of you may have decided, I'll criticize myself first, so it hurts less when others do it. Self-attack became a strange kind of armor. If you call yourself not enough, it feels like you're in control. But in reality, you just let the enemy live inside the gates. The critic then creates a loop. It tells you, you'll mess this up. You feel anxious and unworthy. That feeling stops you from starting, so you procrastinate or avoid. Because you never truly show up, you don't get the results you want. And the critic says, see, I was right. You are a failure. Thought becomes feeling. Feeling becomes inaction. Inaction becomes proof. And the cycle strengthens. Seneca once wrote, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. The inner critic is the director of those imagined sufferings. It takes small risks and turns them into catastrophic failures in your mind. It takes small mistakes and turns them into final verdicts against your character. It keeps you living in fear of an outcome that hasn't even happened. Carl Jung pointed to a different path. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Accepting yourself, your strengths, your flaws, your unfinished parts is exactly what your inner critic doesn't want you to do. Because the moment you accept yourself, not as perfect but as human, the critic loses its leverage. It can no longer use shame as a weapon if you're no longer ashamed of being a work in progress. The Stoics would tell you to pay attention to what is in your control, your effort, your character, your choices. The judgments of others, not in your control. The fantasies cooked up by your inner critic, also not in your control. What is in your control is whether you sign your name under those judgments or not. So how do you deal with this voice? You don't beat it by arguing with it all day. Arguing gives it airtime. You don't wait for it to disappear completely. That day may never come. Instead, you change your relationship to it. One way to begin is to rename the voice. Give it a title that makes it separate from you. Call it the inspector, or the drill sergeant, or the old script. Anything that reminds you, this is a part of my mind, not the whole of who I am. The next time it says, you're falling behind, you can respond internally. Thank you, Inspector. I hear you, but you're not running the show today. Adding a bit of humor here helps. It shrinks the critic down from an all-powerful judge to a character, a predictable one, whose lines you already know. When you know the script, it's harder for it to surprise you. Then you begin to collect new evidence. Every night, before you go to bed, write an evidence list. 1 to 3 small things you did that day where you showed up despite fear, not heroic moments. Simple ones. I sent the email I was scared to send. I went for a walk instead of scrolling. I spoke up once in that meeting. These may look insignificant to your critic. That's fine. You're not writing for it. You're writing for the part of you that's building a new story. The story of someone who keeps trying, even when it's messy. Over time, this list becomes a quiet archive of courage. When the critic says, you never follow through, you'll have pages of proof that you do. When it says, you're not changing, you'll see, in your own handwriting, all the small steps you've taken. The critic thrives in vagueness, words like always and never. Evidence breaks that spell. Along with evidence, choose motion over mastery. The inner critic loves perfectionism because perfection is impossible. If it can convince you that anything less than flawless is failure, you'll stay frozen. So you disarm it by refusing to worship perfection. You commit instead to motion, small, consistent actions taken even while you feel afraid, unready, or imperfect. Pick one thing you care about: learning a skill, caring for your health, building a project. Give it 5 to 10 minutes a day. Not 3 hours of perfection once a month. 10 imperfect minutes every day. Show up, even if you feel clumsy. Especially when you feel clumsy. Each time you act in spite of the critic's commentary, you weaken its authority. You teach your nervous system a new lesson: I can feel fear and still move. You show your mind that its predictions are not laws. You build a new identity, not I am perfect, but I am someone who keeps showing up. Slowly, the dynamic shifts. The inner critic may still speak, especially when you're tired or stepping into something new, but it no longer sounds like the voice of truth. It sounds like what it actually is: an old script that doesn't fit your current life. This is how you stop being coached by fear and start being guided by courage. Keep this affirmation close, especially on days when the critic is loud. Progress over perfection. I show up even when it's messy. Number 5. Release yesterday and choose stillness today. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that doesn't come from what you did today, but from what you keep reliving from yesterday. You lie in bed and your body is begging for rest, but your mind presses replay. The conversation you wish went differently, the mistake you can't forgive yourself for, the moment you were hurt and didn't know how to protect yourself. You tell yourself, just one more time. If I think it through again, maybe it'll finally make sense. But it never does. You fall asleep, if you sleep at all, with the same heaviness you woke up with. Then, during the day, you notice how hard it is to focus. Someone talks to you, but you only half hear them. You sit down to work, but half your mind is living in a scene that ended months or years ago. Your attention is split between the life in front of you and the life inside your head. No wonder you feel drained. At the same time, the idea of sitting still with yourself feels terrifying. The moment the noise drops, no music, no scrolling, no distractions, the past rushes in. The memories you've been running from suddenly have space to speak, so you do what most people do. You stay busy. You fill every gap with something: work, entertainment, other people's problems, anything but silence. It's a strange trap. You're tired of the past, but you're also afraid of the stillness that would help you release it. Think of your past like an echo in a cave. The original sound, a harsh word, a betrayal, a failure, a loss, was real. It happened. But what you're living with now, most of the time, it's the echo. It only keeps hurting because you keep going back into the cave and shouting the same thing, hoping a different sound will come back. It won't. The moment is over. The echo can't harm you unless you confuse it with what's happening right now. Epictetus said, "People are not disturbed by things, but by the views they take of them." It's not the memory itself that keeps cutting you. It's the way you keep holding it, the way you keep using it as proof that you are broken or doomed to repeat the same story or unworthy of peace. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the only time that truly exists is the present moment. The past and the future live in your head, not in front of you. Yet so often we spend our limited attention on what is already gone or what hasn't happened, while the only place we can actually act this moment stands waiting. Why do we cling so tightly to yesterday? Part of you believes that remembering the pain will protect you. If I never forget how much that hurt, I'll never let it happen again. So you hold the memory like barbed wire, gripping it until your hands bleed, convinced that the pain is a kind of armor. Another part of you believes that if you replay it enough times, you'll finally unlock a new meaning, as if somewhere inside that old scene, there's a hidden line that will suddenly make everything okay. But there isn't. The more you dig, the more tired you become. What you're really doing is eroding your present with sandpaper made of old moments. And stillness? Stillness is frightening because it's the one place you can't outrun your own mind. When you sit in quiet, all the echoes you've tried to drown out with busyness rise to the surface. So you tell yourself you hate being bored, but what you really hate is meeting yourself without distraction. Yet stillness is not punishment, it's the control room. Imagine your life as a busy city, traffic, noise, movement everywhere. If you never step into the control room, you're always stuck in the streets, reacting, dodging, rushing. Stillness is the room above the city where you can finally see the map. It's where you notice the patterns. It's where you decide, consciously, where to send your limited time and energy. Letting go of yesterday doesn't mean pretending it didn't matter. It doesn't mean saying it was fine when it wasn't. True letting go is not denial. It's choosing to stop letting a past event define every step you take now. It's saying, yes, that was real. Yes, it changed me. But no, it does not own me anymore. One simple way to begin is with a letting go ritual. Choose one event from your past that still grips you, the one that keeps showing up at night, the one your mind loves to revisit. Take a piece of paper and write down what happened as honestly and simply as you can. No need to be poetic, just name it. Then, beneath that, write one more sentence. What did this teach me? Maybe it taught you to value your boundaries. Maybe it showed you who your real friends are. Maybe it revealed how much you were ignoring your own needs. Write the lesson, even if it's small. You are not honoring the pain by reliving it. You honor it by extracting the wisdom and carrying that forward instead. When you're finished, you have a choice. You can tear the paper up and throw it away, watching the physical object vanish as a symbol of releasing the event. Or you can fold it and place it in a box, as if saying, "This chapter is closed. I can revisit the lesson, but I don't have to reread the wound every day." Either way, the act is not magic. It's a declaration. I will carry the lesson, not the entire weight. Now, pair that with a stillness practice. Set aside 5 to 10 minutes a day where you disconnect from external noise. No music, no TV, no scrolling, just you, your breath, and your awareness. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes or lower your gaze. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. Notice the air moving in and out of your nose. Your mind will not suddenly go blank. That's okay. It will bring up thoughts, old memories, worries, random to-do lists. Instead of fighting them, treat them like clouds passing through the sky of your mind. You don't chase them, you don't judge them. You simply notice, there's a worry about tomorrow, there's a memory from last year, there's a random song lyric. And then, you gently bring your attention back to your breath. As you sit there, remind yourself quietly, I've already walked through the fire. I don't have to sit in the smoke. You survived what happened. You did the best you could with who you were then. You are allowed to breathe in a cleaner air now. You are allowed to build a life that isn't defined by the worst days you've had. Day by day, this combination, releasing yesterday, choosing stillness today, begins to detox your relationship with time. The past loosens its grip. The future softens its threat. The present becomes a little more spacious, a little less noisy, a little more yours. This is how you stop letting yesterday own today and start living from a quieter present. If this speaks to you, write this down somewhere or share it in the comments. I release what I cannot change, and I protect my present. If you've made it this far, pause for a moment and give yourself credit. Not the fake kind, not the empty motivational line reel credit. You just walked through a full journey into your own mind. Not many people are willing to do that. You began by looking at your attention, the quiet architect of your inner world. You saw how your days often start with noise that doesn't belong to you. how your focus gets scattered before your own thoughts even wake up. You learned that your mind is not a public park but a fortress, and that guarding your attention is the first act of mental self-respect. Then you took a step further and separated yourself from your thoughts. You saw how phrases like, "I'm always behind," or "I'll fail anyway," weren't sacred truths, but old sentences your mind kept recycling. You shifted from being trapped inside the movie to sitting in the seat, watching the film. You started to understand that you are not the cloud, you are the sky that notices it drift by. From there, you were brave enough to bring the unspoken into the light. You looked at the storage room where you've been throwing unprocessed feelings for years. You realized that your body remembers what your mind tries to ignore. That tension in your shoulders and heaviness in your chest aren't random, they're messages. You began to whisper truths to yourself in 3 simple lines, and you gave your nervous system permission to stop carrying everything in silence. You didn't stop there. You turned to the inner critic, the toxic MC with the microphone in your head, and you began to rewrite its script. You saw how perfectionism, comparison, and old shame trained that voice to keep you small. Instead of letting it coach you through fear, you chose motion over mastery. You began collecting evidence of your courage, not your flaws. You started showing up even when things were messy, and that changed the story. Finally, you faced your relationship with time. You saw how tightly you've been gripping yesterday, how often you've confused echoes for the present. You stepped into stillness, not as punishment but as a control room where you can see your life more clearly. You practiced letting go of past moments, not by pretending they didn't matter, but by choosing to carry the lesson instead of the wound. This whole journey is deeply Stoic at its core. The Stoics knew you don't own what has already happened, and you don't own every thought that appears. You only own how you show up now. Marcus Aurelius wrote about guarding the mind from unnecessary impressions. Epictetus reminded us that it's not events themselves, but our view of them that disturbs us. They weren't telling you to be numb, they were inviting you to be sovereign. Neuroscience, in its own way, has been echoing the same idea. Every time you guard your attention, you carve a new pathway. Every moment you notice a thought, instead of becoming it, you weaken an old loop. Every time you put unspoken feelings into words, you help your nervous system release what it has held for too long. Every small act of self-acceptance softens the grip of your inner critic. Every minute of stillness you choose today gently rewires a brain that has been trained to run from itself. You don't need a perfectly clear mind to live with clarity. You don't need to be calm 100% of the time to be grounded. You are not aiming for a mind with no noise. You are building a mind that is no longer controlled by noise. What matters are the small moments. The moment you pause before spiraling. The moment you label a thought as fear instead of truth. The moment you admit to yourself, "That actually hurt me," instead of brushing it off. The moment you choose 10 minutes of imperfect effort over another hour of self-criticism. The moment you sit in silence and let the storm pass without running. Each time you choose awareness over autopilot, you pull one brick out of the wall that has been caging you in. Each time you refuse to chase a toxic thought, you loosen one knot in your nervous system. Each time you act gently toward yourself, you prove that you no longer need shame as a motivator. You don't have to do this perfectly, you only have to do it honestly and consistently. So as we close, hold this in your heart. I am not my thoughts, I am the one who chooses my next move. I rise clearer and calmer than yesterday, and I will not waste the mind life has given me. If a line from this journey spoke to you, write it down in the comments, not for me, but to lock it into your own story. And if you want to keep rebuilding your inner world with intention, like this video, and subscribe to Stoic Current, so we can keep walking this path together. When you're done here, don't just scroll to the next piece of noise. Choose what you feed your mind next. There's another video waiting for you, one that goes deeper into overthinking before sleep or healing from regret. Pick the one your soul is quietly asking for. Your mind is not your enemy, it's your home. From today on, you're learning how to live in it with clarity, with courage, and with peace.